My wife's friends talked her into a breakup, tested so I gave them all a reality check they'll never forget. I never thought I'd be the kind of man who'd have to prove his worth to his own wife. But here I was, sitting in my car outside our house at 11 p.m. on a Friday night, watching through the living room window as my wife, Emma, laughed with her 3 closest friends, completely unaware that I knew everything. Let me back up. My name is Marcus, I'm 34, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had the perfect marriage. Emma and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. We had a beautiful home in the suburbs, good jobs, and what I believed was an unshakable bond. I'm a software engineer, she's a marketing director, and we'd built a comfortable life together. No kids yet. We'd been trying for about a year with no luck, which had been stressful, but we were handling it together. Or so I thought. 3 weeks ago, everything changed during what should have been a routine Tuesday evening. I'd come home early from work. My team had finished a major project, ahead of schedule, and my boss had let us leave at 3. I was excited to surprise Emma, maybe take her out for an early dinner. As I pulled into our driveway, I noticed her car was there along with 2 others I recognized. Her best friends Natalie and Jessica's vehicles. I smiled, figuring I'd say a quick hello before they continued their girls' time. Emma's friend group was tight-knit. Natalie, Jessica, and Vanessa had all been friends since college. They met every couple of weeks, and I'd always encouraged it. Healthy friendships outside a marriage are important, right? I walked in through the front door calling out, "Hey babe, I'm home early." No response. But I could hear voices coming from upstairs, our bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and I was about to push it open when I heard my name. "Marcus is a good guy, Emma, but good isn't exciting." That was Natalie's voice, sharp and certain. I froze, my hand on the doorknob. "I know, but that's not fair to him. He's been nothing but supportive." Emma's voice, defensive. "Supportive? Or boring?" Jessica cut in. "When's the last time he did something spontaneous? Something that made your heart race?" I stood there in the hallway, my heart definitely racing, but not in the way Jessica meant. "The fertility stuff is stressing him out too," Emma said quietly. "He's trying—" "Emma, listen." This was Vanessa now, her voice taking on that serious tone she used when she thought she was dispensing wisdom. "Jake and I went through something similar. I did the test and it saved our marriage. You need to know if Marcus is really in this, or if he's just going through the motions." "The test seems cruel," Emma murmured. "It's not cruel, it's smart," Natalie insisted. "You tell him you need space, that you're questioning things. If he fights for you, if he shows you passion and reminds you why you fell in love, then great, you know he's still invested. If he just accepts it, then you have your answer. You'll know he's checked out. What if he gets hurt?" Emma asked. "He'll get over it," Jessica said dismissively. "And honestly, if he can't handle a little test, how's he going to handle real problems? You need a man who'll fight for you, Emma, not a doormat." My hands clenched into fists. "Doormat? I don't know." Emma sounded uncertain, conflicted. "Look, you've been complaining about feeling disconnected for months," Vanessa said. "This is how you find out if it's worth fixing or if you should cut your losses before you waste more years. Before you have kids with someone who's just adequate. Adequate." The word hit me like a physical blow. "And if the test shows he's not willing to fight?" Emma asked, her voice so small I barely heard it. "Then you know it's time to move on," Natalie said firmly. "You're 32, Emma. Still young enough to start over. Find someone who actually makes you feel alive. Don't you want to feel butterflies again?" There was a long pause. Then Emma, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll start this weekend." I backed away from the door silently, my mind reeling. I made it downstairs and out to my car before the tears of rage and betrayal started. I sat there for 20 minutes, trying to process what I'd just heard. My wife was going to fake break up with me, as a test, because her friends, her toxic, manipulative friends, had convinced her I was boring, adequate, a doormat. I'd spent 8 years loving this woman. I'd supported her career moves, encouraged her dreams, held her through her father's death 2 years ago, sat with her through every negative pregnancy test. I'd planned surprises, written her love notes, taken her on trips. But apparently that wasn't enough. I wasn't exciting enough. The worst part? She was going to do it. She'd agreed. I drove around for 2 hours before returning home. By then, her friends' cars were gone. Emma greeted me normally, asking about my day. I lied, said the project wasn't quite finished, so I'd stayed late. She seemed to accept it without question. That night, lying next to her in bed, I made a decision. If Emma wanted a test, she'd get one. But not the one she was expecting. Over the next 3 days, I did something I'd never done before. I investigated my wife's friends' lives. Not because I'm vindictive by nature, but because I needed to understand who was poisoning my marriage. And what I found was illuminating. Natalie, the ringleader, was 35 and had been engaged twice, both times ending the relationships when she got Bored. She worked as a pharmaceutical sales rep and had a reputation, according to her own social media, for partying hard. Her Instagram was a carefully curated highlight reel of exotic trips, expensive dinners, and cryptic quotes about knowing your worth. What she didn't post: she was $80,000 in debt, lived in an apartment her parents helped pay for, and had been through 3 therapists in 2 years because, as she'd mentioned to Emma once, they just don't get me. Jessica, 33, had been married for 4 years to a guy named Tom. On the surface, perfect couple. Digging deeper, and I admit this part felt dirty, but I was furious. I found Tom's Reddit account. He'd posted in relationship advice forums about his wife's spending addiction and emotional affair with a coworker. They were in marriage counseling. Jessica, who was advising my wife on relationships, was actively destroying her own. Vanessa, 34, married to Jake for 6 years. She'd mentioned they'd done this test, and it had saved their marriage. I remembered Jake from a barbecue last summer. The guy had looked exhausted, beaten down. I did some subtle asking around through mutual connections. Turns out, Vanessa's test had involved her moving out for 3 weeks, during which she'd dated other men to see what else was out there. Jake had fought for her, sure, but only because he was terrified of losing his kids. Their marriage wasn't saved. It was a hostage situation. These were the women advising my wife. These were the people she trusted more than she trusted our marriage. Friday came. I knew it was happening when Emma texted me at work. "Can we talk tonight?" "Important." I responded, "Of course. Love you." She didn't say it back. I came home at my usual time. Emma was sitting on the couch, and I could see she'd been rehearsing. Her hands were clasped tightly. Her expression was serious but composed. This was it. "Marcus, we need to talk," she started, her voice shaking slightly. I sat down across from her, my face neutral. "What's going on?" "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she said, the words sounding rehearsed. "And I feel like we've lost something. Like we're more roommates than husband and wife." I said nothing, just watched her. I think I need some space. Some time to figure out what I want, if this is really what I want." Her eyes were welling up now. Whether from real emotion or guilt, I couldn't tell. "You want to separate," I said flatly. "Not permanently, just some time. To think. To remember who I am outside of us." She reached for my hand, but I pulled back. "How long have you been feeling this way?" I asked. "A few months," she admitted. "Maybe, and you're just telling me now." "I didn't want to hurt you." "But you're hurting me now," I said, my voice harder than I'd intended. "You're telling me our marriage might be over, and you didn't think to talk to me before it got to this point. I'm talking to you now." Her tears were falling freely. "I'm trying to be honest." I stood up. This was the moment I knew. This was where I was supposed to fight, to beg, to prove my devotion, to dance like a trained monkey for her amusement and her friends' validation. Instead, I said, "Okay." Emma's tears stopped abruptly. "What?" "Okay," I repeated. "If you need space, take it. I'm not going to force someone to be in a marriage they don't want." Her face went white. You're okay with this?" "I'm not okay with it, Emma. But I'm not going to beg you to love me. That's not how this works." I headed toward the stairs. "I'll sleep in the guest room. Take all the time you need to figure out what you want." "Marcus, wait." She stood up, confusion and something like panic crossing her face. I turned back. "What? That's it? You're just giving up?" "You're the one who said you need space. I'm giving it to you. Isn't that what you wanted?" I could see her mind working, see the script she'd been given falling apart. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. "I thought you'd, I don't know, ask me to reconsider. Tell me we can work on it." "Can we?" I asked. "Because from where I'm standing, you've already made up your mind. You've been feeling this way for months and said nothing. You clearly don't value my opinion on our marriage. So why would my input matter now? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Emma." I continued up the stairs, leaving her standing there. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, my phone in my hand. Around midnight, I heard her crying in our bedroom. Part of me, the part that had loved her for 8 years, wanted to go to her. The other part, the part that was learning to love myself, stayed put. Saturday morning, I got up early and went for a run. When I came back, Emma was making breakfast, usually my job on weekends. She looked like she hadn't slept either. "Morning," I said neutrally. "Morning." She slid pancakes onto a plate. "I made your favorite." "Thanks." I took the plate and sat down. We ate in painful silence. Finally, she spoke. "Are you really not going to fight for us?" I set down my fork. "Emma, let me ask you something. If I got down on my knees right now and begged you to stay, told you I'd change, promised to be more exciting, would that actually fix anything? Or would you just feel guilty and stay out of obligation?" She didn't answer. "That's what I thought," I said quietly. "You want me to perform, to prove something. But marriage isn't a performance. It's a partnership. and partnerships require both people to communicate before things get to the breaking point. I'm trying to communicate now. No, you're testing me. There's a difference. Her face flushed. What's that supposed to mean? I almost told her right then. Almost revealed that I knew about the test, about her friend's manipulation. But something held me back. I wasn't ready to play that card yet. It means I think you've been listening to the wrong people, I said instead. But that's just my opinion, which apparently doesn't carry much weight anymore. I left her there and went upstairs to shower. The weekend continued in this strange, cold limbo. Emma kept trying to engage me in deep conversations about us, but I kept my responses brief and neutral. I wasn't cruel, wasn't angry, just distant, exactly what she'd claimed she'd been feeling. By Sunday night, she was frustrated. Why are you being like this? Like what? So cold, so indifferent. I'm giving you what you asked for. Space. Space doesn't mean you stop caring. Then maybe you should have been more specific about what you wanted, I said, and went back to reading my book. Monday morning, I got up, dressed for work, and made my own coffee, something I hadn't done in years. Usually Emma had it ready for me. She watched me from the kitchen doorway, her expression confused and hurt. Have a good day, I said as I headed out. Marcus, I'll be home at 6. We can talk then if you want. I left before she could respond. At work, I couldn't concentrate. My phone kept buzzing with texts from Emma. They ranged from concerned to angry to pleading. Are we really not going to talk about this? You're being childish. I miss you. Please don't shut me out. I responded only once. I'm not shutting you out. I'm respecting your need for space. Isn't that what you wanted? Tuesday, things escalated. I came home to find Natalie in my living room with Emma. The moment I walked in, Natalie's eyes narrowed. Marcus, Emma told me what's happening. Don't you think you're being a little immature about this? I set down my briefcase. Hello, Natalie. Nice to see you too. Emma is trying to save your marriage and you're just... What? Giving up? I'm respecting her wishes, I said calmly. She said she needs space to figure out what she wants. I'm giving her that space. That's not what she meant. Natalie stood up, her face flushed. She wants you to show her you care, to remind her why you're together. Then maybe she should have said that, I replied. I'm not a mind reader. If Emma wants something from me, she can use her words like an adult. Don't patronize her. Natalie, please, Emma interrupted, looking miserable. This isn't helping. He's making you feel crazy, Natalie insisted. This is gaslighting. I actually laughed at that. Gaslighting? She tells me she's questioning our entire marriage, asks for space, and when I give it to her, I'm the one gaslighting? That's rich. You know what I think? Natalie stepped closer to me. I think you never really cared. You're showing your true colors right now. And what colors are those? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. That you're selfish, emotionally unavailable, that you'd rather let your marriage die than put in the work to save it. Something inside me snapped. Not into anger, but into clarity. This woman, this toxic, broken woman, had been poisoning my wife against me for who knows how long. Natalie, I said softly, how many relationships have you sabotaged because you were too afraid to do the work yourself? How many good men have you walked away from because the instant things got real, you got bored? You're 35, deeply in debt, and desperately unhappy, but instead of looking inward, you project your failures onto everyone around you, especially women in stable relationships, because their happiness reminds you of everything you've thrown away. Her face went white, then red. How dare you? No, how dare you? My voice was steel now. You don't get to come into my home and tell me about my marriage. You don't get to manipulate my wife into questioning. A good thing because you've never had one yourself. Marcus! Emma stood up, shocked. And you, I turned to my wife, need to decide who you trust more. Me or someone who's never successfully maintained a relationship in her entire adult life. Natalie grabbed her purse, her hands shaking with rage. Emma, you don't have to listen to this. Call me later. She stormed out. The silence she left behind was deafening. That was cruel, Emma said finally. Was it? I asked. Or was it true? She's my friend. She's a cancer, Emma. And she's been eating away at us for months, maybe years. Tell me something. Whose idea was this whole space thing? Emma's face gave her away immediately. It was my decision. But who suggested it first? Natalie, Jessica, Vanessa? I watched her face. All of them? She sat down heavily. They were just trying to help. Help with what? We were fine until they started whispering in your ear. Or do you not remember that we were actually happy a few months ago? We weren't happy, she protested weakly. We were comfortable. And that's bad? Comfort is bad. Emma, we've been together 8 years. We're not supposed to have butterflies every single day. That's not how love works. Real love is comfortable. It's safe. It's knowing someone has your back no matter what. But your friends have convinced you that comfort equals boredom, and now you're throwing away something real to chase a fantasy. Tears were streaming down her face now. I don't know what I want anymore. Then figure it out, I said, suddenly exhausted. but figure it out without their influence. Because I'm done competing with the toxic advice of people who have no idea what they're talking about. I went upstairs, leaving her crying on the couch. Wednesday was when things really came to a head. I came home from work to find not just Natalie, but Jessica and Vanessa too. An intervention. How cute. Marcus, sit down, Vanessa said, as if this were her house. We need to talk. In my own home? How generous of you to allow it. But I sat, curious to see where this would go. Jessica leaned forward. Emma's told us how you've been acting. This cold shoulder thing, the passive-aggressive comments, it needs to stop. I'm being passive-aggressive? I looked at Emma. Is that how you see it? She wouldn't meet my eyes. You've been different. I've been giving you what you asked for. That's not... She started, but Vanessa cut her off. Look, Marcus, relationships take work. Emma's trying to communicate with you, and you're stonewalling her. That's emotionally abusive. I had to hand it to them. They'd really committed to this narrative. Let me make sure I understand, I said slowly. Emma tells me she's been unhappy for months, but never mentioned it. She asks for space to question our marriage. I give her that space. And somehow I'm the abusive one? You're twisting things. Natalie started. No, you're twisting things. All of you. I stood up. You know what I think? I think you're all miserable in your own relationships or lack thereof, and you can't stand to see Emma happy. So you convinced her she wasn't. That's not true! Jessica protested, but her face was red. Isn't it? Jessica, how's Tom? Still in counseling because of your emotional affair? Oh wait, Emma didn't know about that, did she? Jessica's face went white. And Vanessa? Tell us about your test that saved your marriage. The one where you dated other men for 3 weeks while Jake waited at home with your kids? I'm sure that built a really healthy foundation of trust. Vanessa stood up. You have no idea what you're talking about. I have every idea. I know all about your lives, ladies. The debt, the affairs, the manipulation. And I know that Emma's test was your idea. I turned to my wife. All of this, the sudden dissatisfaction, the need for space, it was a test. To see if I'd fight for you. Your friends convinced you to fake question our marriage to see how I'd react. Emma's face confirmed everything. She looked horrified and guilty and caught. You knew, she whispered. I overheard you. 3 weeks ago when I came home early. I heard the whole conversation. Then why didn't you say anything? Natalie demanded. Because I wanted to see if my wife, the woman I've loved for 8 years, would actually go through with something so manipulative and cruel. And she did. I looked at Emma. You did. Marcus, I'm sorry. She reached for me, but I stepped back. You're sorry? You put our marriage through a meat grinder because your friends told you to. And you're sorry? We were just trying to help. Jessica insisted. Help? You call this help? I laughed bitterly. You manipulated her into questioning a good marriage, because none of you have ever had one. You're like crabs in a bucket, pulling down anyone who tries to climb out. That's enough, Vanessa said coldly. Emma, you don't have to listen to this. Actually, she does, I said. Because I'm only going to say this once. Emma, I love you. I've loved you for 8 years. I've supported you. Been faithful to you. Built a life with you. I'm not perfect, no one is, but I'm real. What we had was real, and you threw it away because you're toxic. Friends convinced you that real wasn't good enough. I didn't throw it away, she protested through tears. You tested it. Same thing. You don't test things you trust. You don't test things you value. And clearly, you didn't value us enough to talk to me before listening to them. So what happens now? Emma asked, her voice breaking. I took a breath. This was the moment I'd been building to. The decision I'd made somewhere around Tuesday. Now? Now I call their bluff. All of them. I turned to Natalie first. Your engagement to Brad 3 years ago. You left him because he was boring. Right? Except I talked to Brad. He told me you left because he wanted you to get help. For your spending addiction and stop partying 4 nights a week. You left a man who loved you because he dared to suggest you needed to grow up. Natalie's face was pure rage. You had no right. Jessica, I continued, Tom's still trying to save your marriage while you string him along. He doesn't know you're already back in contact with your coworker, the one you claim was just a friend. Emma showed me the texts you've been sending her, laughing about how you keep both men on the hook. Emma! Jessica spun to face her, betrayed. And Vanessa, I finished. Your test broke Jake. He's clinically depressed, on medication, and only staying for the kids. Your marriage didn't survive. It's just a corpse you're both too tired to bury. So maybe think twice, before pushing other women to torture their husbands the same way you tortured yours. The room was silent except for Emma's quiet crying. Get out, I said to the 3 women. All of you. And don't come back, ever. Emma? Natalie looked at my wife. Are you going to let him talk to us like this? Emma looked between us, torn. This was it, the real test. Not of me, but of her. I think you should go, she said finally, her voice barely audible. Emma, Vanessa started. Please, just go. They left in a flurry of indignant protests and slammed doors. And then it was just me and Emma, standing in the wreckage of what they'd nearly destroyed. I'm so sorry, Emma whispered. I'm so sorry. Why'd you do it? I asked. Why'd you listen to them? She sank onto the couch, her face in her hands. I don't know. I was scared, I think. the fertility issues, the stress at work. I felt like we were drifting, and I didn't know how to tell you. And then they told me about the test, and it seemed like an answer, a way to know for sure. You could have just talked to me. I know, God, I know. I was a coward. She looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen. When you didn't react the way I expected, when you didn't fight or beg, I panicked. I realized I'd made a horrible mistake, but I didn't know how to take it back. And they kept telling me you were the problem, that you were showing your true colors, and I was so confused. You were confused because you were listening to people who wanted you to fail. I see that now. She stood up, took a tentative step toward me. Is it too late? Can we fix this? I looked at my wife, really looked at her. I saw the woman I'd fallen in love with, but I also saw the woman who'd betrayed my trust, who'd valued her friends' opinions over our marriage, who'd put me through hell because she was too scared to have an honest conversation. I don't know, I said honestly. You broke something, Emma. Maybe we can fix it, but it's going to take time. And work. Real work, not games or tests. I'll do whatever it takes, she said desperately. Anything. Counseling, whatever you want. I'll cut them off completely. That's not enough, I interrupted. I don't just want you to cut them off. I want you to understand why they were wrong. I want you to understand that what you did was a betrayal. Testing someone you claim to love, that's not okay. It will never be okay. I know that now. I was so stupid. You weren't stupid. You were insecure. There's a difference. But Emma, you can't let other people's insecurities become yours. That's what happened here. You let their toxicity infect you. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. What do we do now? Now we go to counseling, separately and together. You figure out why you were so willing to believe them over me. I figure out if I can trust you again. And we see where we are in a few months. Months? She looked devastated. Emma, you can't break something this badly and expect it to heal overnight. That's not how this works. But you're not leaving? You're willing to try? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Despite everything, despite the anger and hurt and betrayal, I still loved her. But love alone wasn't enough. I'm willing to try, I said finally. But things have to change. Really change. No more games. No more tests. Complete honesty. Even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. Yes, anything, I promise. And Emma? If you ever let someone convince you to test me again, I'm gone. No second chances. No discussions. I deserve better than that. And until you believe it too, this won't work. I believe it, she said fervently. I swear I do. I was so wrong, Marcus. So wrong. I nodded slowly. Okay, then let's start there. The next weeks were hard. Probably the hardest of our marriage. We started couples counseling immediately. I'd found a therapist while all this was happening, just in case. Emma started individual therapy too, working through her insecurities and her tendency to defer to her friends. Judgment. The therapist, Dr. Chen, didn't pull any punches. In our third session, she looked at Emma and said, You tried to manufacture a crisis in your marriage because you were afraid of the natural evolution of long-term love, that self-sabotage. And if you don't address it, you'll do it again. Emma cried through that session, but she listened. As for her friends, the fallout was spectacular. Natalie tried to turn their mutual friends against us, painting me as controlling and abusive. But the mutual friends, it turned out, had their own Natalie stories. The narrative didn't stick. Jessica's husband, Tom, found out about her continued contact with her coworker. Not from me. I didn't have to lift a finger and filed for divorce. Jessica tried to reach out to Emma for support, but Emma, to her credit, didn't respond. Vanessa's situation was the saddest. Jake finally had enough and left, taking the kids. She tried to blame Emma and me for turning him against her, but Jake made it clear in his divorce filing. Years of manipulation and emotional abuse had finally taken their toll. Word spread in their social circle. The women who'd styled themselves as relationship experts were suddenly revealed as the architects of their own misery. Natalie, especially, found herself increasingly isolated. Turned out, when you spend years tearing down other people's relationships, nobody wants you around when they're trying to build something real. For Emma and me, the healing was slow. There were setbacks. About a month in, I found her texting with Natalie. She swore they were just making peace, but I reminded her of my boundary. It was Natalie or me. She chose me and blocked the number. 2 months in, during a particularly tough therapy session, Emma admitted she'd been jealous. Everyone said marriage was supposed to be like a movie, she said. Passionate and dramatic, and we were just us. Comfortable. Happy. I thought something was wrong with us because we weren't fighting and making up. Having these big emotional moments. Life isn't a movie, Dr. Chen said gently. Stable doesn't mean boring. Comfortable doesn't mean broken. I know that now, Emma replied. I just wish I'd known it before I almost destroyed everything. 3 months in, something shifted. We were having dinner, just a normal Tuesday night dinner, and Emma laughed at something I said. Really laughed the way she used to. And I realized I was laughing too. For the first time in months, we felt like us again. I miss this, she said softly. Me too. Do you think we're going to be okay? She asked. I considered it. The anger had faded, replaced by something more complex. Hurt, yes, but also understanding. Growth. I think we're going to be different, I said. But different might be better. 6 months after the test, we had what Dr. Chen called a breakthrough session. Emma had finally articulated what had driven her to such a destructive choice. I felt invisible, she said. The fertility struggles made me feel broken. Work was stressing me out. And instead of talking to you about it, I internalized it. I felt like I was failing at everything. Wife, future mother, career woman. And when Natalie and the others suggested the test, it felt like a way to, to matter, to create a situation where I'd feel seen. But I was seeing you, I said. I was right there. I know. I couldn't see it then because I was so stuck in my own head. The test wasn't really about you at all. It was about me needing to feel important, valued. I just expressed it in the worst possible way. Why didn't you just tell me you felt invisible? Because that felt weak. Needing reassurance felt weak. But testing you felt powerful, like I was taking control. She shook her head. How messed up is that? It's human, Dr. Chen interjected. Misguided, but human. The important thing is you recognize it now. We left that session feeling lighter somehow, like we'd finally identified the poison and could begin to truly heal. Now, a year later, we're in a different place. Better? In many ways, yes. Emma's friendship circle looks completely different. She's cultivated relationships with women who build up rather than tear down. She's still in therapy, working on her self-worth. I'm different too. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean accepting poor treatment. That boundaries aren't cruel, they're necessary. That I'm worthy of the same respect and honesty I give. Our marriage is stronger, but scarred. We don't take each other for granted anymore. We communicate even when it's uncomfortable. We check in regularly, making sure small issues don't fester into big ones. The fertility stuff? We decided to table it for a while. Focus on healing our relationship first. Turns out, removing that pressure helped both of us breathe a little easier. As for Natalie, Jessica, and Vanessa, I heard through the grapevine that Natalie moved to another city for a fresh start. Jessica is single and, according to mutual friends, working on herself. Vanessa is in intensive therapy, trying to repair her relationship with her kids. I don't take pleasure in their struggles. I'm not that person, but I don't feel guilty either. They made their choices, just like Emma made hers, just like I made mine. The other day, Emma and I were grocery shopping, something completely mundane, and she grabbed my hand in the cereal aisle. What? I asked, smiling. Nothing, just thank you. For what? For not giving up. For being willing to do the work. For loving me even when I didn't deserve it. You always deserved it, I said. You just forgot for a while. I won't forget again, she promised. I squeezed her hand. I know. And here's the thing, I believe her. Not because she's perfect now, or because I'm naive, but because she's done the work. She's looked at her worst self and decided to be better. That night, as we were falling asleep, Emma said something that stuck with me. You know what the real test should have been? Not whether you'd fight for me when I pushed you away, but whether I was brave enough to be vulnerable with you when things got hard. I failed that test, but you gave me a chance to retake it. And? I asked, turning to face her in the dark. I'm going to spend the rest of our marriage passing it. Every single day. I kissed her forehead. That's all I ever wanted. If you'd told me 2 years ago that my marriage would nearly end because of a test, designed by toxic friends, only to emerge stronger on the other side, I wouldn't have believed you. But here we are. Emma's career has taken off. She got a promotion to VP of Marketing about 6 months ago. The difference now is that she shares her wins with me, doesn't hold them in, and let them become sources of stress. When she's overwhelmed, she tells me. When she needs support, she asks for it. We went back to trying for a baby about 4 months ago. No luck yet, but we're handling it differently this time. We talk about our feelings. We acknowledge the disappointment together. We remind each other that our worth, individually, and as a couple, isn't determined by whether we can conceive. Last month, we actually discussed adoption. Not as a defeat, but as a possibility, as another path to the family we want. It felt good to have that conversation without fear or shame. I got a promotion too, leading a new development team. The success felt sweeter, because I had a partner who genuinely celebrated it with me, not one who was secretly questioning whether we were exciting enough. We've built new traditions. Friday nights are sacred, just the two of us. No phones, no distractions. Sometimes we cook elaborate meals together. Sometimes we order pizza and watch bad movies. It doesn't matter what we do. What matters is that we're present. Emma has a new friend group. Women she met through a professional networking organization and a book club she joined. These women are different. They're supportive without being codependent, honest without being cruel. They celebrate each other's relationships instead of undermining them. One of them, Patricia, is in her 50s and has been married for 28 years. Emma came home from coffee with her one day and said, she told me something I needed to hear. She said real love isn't a constant high. It's choosing each other every day, even when it's boring. Especially when it's boring. Smart woman, I'd said. She said the women who are always chasing butterflies and passion, usually end up alone, because they never learned that the best part of love is the quiet moments, the ordinary ones. Emma had looked at me with tears in her eyes. We have so many ordinary moments, Marcus, and they're beautiful. I'm sorry it took me so long to see that. As for the toxic trio, I eventually heard the full story of their downfalls, not because I went looking, but because information has a way of traveling. Natalie did move to Denver for a fresh start. According to her LinkedIn, she's on her third job in 18 months. Her Instagram, once full of curated perfection, has gone quiet. The last post from 4 months ago was a quote about learning to love yourself first. I hope she means it. I hope she gets the help she needs. Jessica finally started doing real work in therapy. Tom didn't take her back. He's actually engaged to someone else now, someone who treats him with respect. But Jessica reached out to Emma about 6 months ago with a genuine apology, not asking to be friends again, just acknowledging the harm she'd caused. Emma appreciated the gesture but maintained her boundary. Some bridges once burned aren't meant to be rebuilt. Vanessa's story is the most dramatic. After Jake left, she had what her mutual friends described as a breakdown. She went to an inpatient facility for a month and has been in intensive therapy ever since. She started a blog about recovering from narcissistic tendencies and taking accountability for emotional abuse. It's raw and honest and painful to read. Emma showed it to me once. I felt no satisfaction in Vanessa's suffering, just a sad acknowledgement that hurt people until they choose to heal. She and Jake are attempting to co-parent civilly. He started dating someone too. Ironically, his own therapist had recommended he try to find someone boring and stable after years of chaos. He took the advice to heart. The ripple effects of that one conversation, that one test, extended far beyond our marriage. In a weird way, it forced everyone involved to confront truths they'd been avoiding. But the most unexpected development came about 3 months ago. I was at a coffee shop near my office when I ran into someone I never expected to see. Brad, Natalie's ex-fiancé from 3 years ago. Marcus? He'd recognized me from the one time we'd met at an engagement party. How are you, man? We got coffee together and he asked about Emma and me. I gave him the condensed version, the test, the near breakup, the reconciliation. Brad shook his head in disbelief. That's classic Natalie. She tried to pull something similar with me. Had her friends convinced I was this terrible guy. But really, I just wanted us to have a stable life. I wanted her to get help for her issues. That made me the enemy. How are you doing now? I asked. His face lit up. Engaged, actually, to someone completely different from Natalie. Someone kind and grounded. Her friends are supportive, healthy people. It's like night and day. Congratulations. Thanks. And hey, I'm glad you and Emma worked it out. But can I give you some advice? Sure. Stay vigilant. Not suspicious, not controlling, vigilant. People who love you shouldn't need to test you. The moment someone suggests otherwise, that's your red flag. The fact that you recognized it and stood your ground, that probably saved your marriage. He was right. If I'd played into the test, if I'd begged and performed and done the dance they wanted, it would have worked temporarily. But it wouldn't have addressed the real problem. Emma's willingness to let toxic people influence her relationship. By refusing to play the game, I'd forced everyone to confront the dysfunction. It wasn't comfortable, but it was necessary. Last week, something happened that felt like closure. Emma and I were out to dinner, a nice place downtown to celebrate our anniversary. As we were leaving, we ran into Vanessa. She was alone, looking healthier than I'd seen her in years. Less makeup, more natural, but also more genuinely confident. The moment was awkward. She froze when she saw us, clearly debating whether to acknowledge us or pretend she hadn't noticed. Emma made the decision for her. Vanessa, hi. Emma, Marcus. Vanessa's voice was tentative. Congratulations on your anniversary. I saw the post. Thank you, Emma said simply. There was a beat of silence. Then Vanessa said, I owe you both an apology. A real one, not the defensive non-apologies I gave before. What I did, what we all did, was inexcusable. I was projecting my own misery onto your marriage, and I'm deeply sorry. Emma glanced at me, then back at Vanessa. I appreciate that, really. How are you doing? Better. In therapy, actually dealing with my issues instead of blaming everyone else for them. Jake and we're never getting back together, but we're learning to co-parent. The kids are doing better. She paused. I started a blog about accountability, about recognizing toxic patterns. It's been educational, both writing it and reading the responses. I've seen it, Emma admitted. It's brave. What you're doing, Vanessa's eyes welled up. I don't expect forgiveness. From you, from Jake, from anyone I hurt. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. What I did, who I was, and I'm trying to be better. That's all any of us can do, I said. It wasn't forgiveness exactly, but it was acknowledgement. Recognition that people can change if they choose to do the work. We parted ways shortly after. As Emma and I walked to our car, she was quiet. You okay? I asked. Yeah, just thinking about how close we came to becoming one of her cautionary tales. But we didn't. No, we didn't. She squeezed my hand. Because you loved me enough to call bullshit. Because you refused to let me sabotage us. We did it together, I corrected. You chose to do the work, to own what you did and change. That wasn't me, that was you. She stopped walking and turned to face me under the streetlight. I love you, Marcus. Not the performative movie version love. The real thing. The choosing you everyday thing. The boring, beautiful, ordinary thing. I love you too, I said. All the boring, beautiful, ordinary parts. We stood there on the sidewalk. Just another couple on their anniversary. Nothing remarkable or dramatic. And it was perfect. People on Reddit love the dramatic stories, the revenge, the gotcha moments, the satisfying takedowns of toxic people. And sure, there were elements of that in our story. Calling out Natalie, Jessica, and Vanessa felt good in the moment. But the real story isn't about them. It's about two people who almost lost something precious. Because they stopped communicating. Because one of them let fear and insecurity override trust. Because the other one, in his own way, had stopped checking in, had assumed everything was fine when it wasn't. The test was bullshit, but it revealed real problems. Not that I was boring or inadequate, but that Emma was struggling and didn't know how to ask for help. That our communication had calcified into comfort without depth. That we'd stopped being curious about each other's inner lives. The year of therapy taught us that marriage isn't about passing tests. It's about being willing to fail sometimes, to be vulnerable, to admit when you're struggling. It's about choosing your partner over your pride, your fears, your friends' bad advice. Emma's friends didn't destroy our marriage. They couldn't have, if our foundation had been solid. They exploited existing cracks. And in a weird way, I'm grateful they did, because it forced us to rebuild from the ground up. Stronger this time. These days, when friends, real friends, ask us for relationship advice, Emma tells them, don't test your partner, test yourself. Ask yourself, am I communicating clearly? Am I bringing my real fears to my partner or complaining to friends? Am I willing to be vulnerable even when it's scary? Those are the real tests, and if you can pass those, the relationship will take care of itself. I tell them, love isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up. It's about respecting boundaries. It's about refusing to play games because your partner deserves better. And if you can do that consistently, you'll build something real. We're not perfect. We still have hard days. Last month, we got another negative pregnancy test, and Emma cried in my arms for an hour. But she cried with me, not at me or because of me. We carried the disappointment together. 2 weeks ago, I got frustrated with a work project and was short with her at dinner. Instead of letting it fester, she called me on it. Hey, I know you're stressed, but I'm not the enemy here. Do you want to talk about what's actually bothering you? We talked. I apologized. We moved forward. That's marriage. That's the real thing. Not tests, not games, not drama. Just two imperfect people choosing each other day after day, in all the boring, beautiful, ordinary ways that matter. Hey everyone, Mark is here. I can't believe it's been 2 years since all this went down. Some of you have DM'd asking for updates. So here's where we are. Emma and I are pregnant, 12 weeks along as of yesterday. We're cautiously optimistic, but trying not to get ahead of ourselves. It happened naturally, finally, after we'd actually started the adoption process. Life's funny that way. We're both still in therapy, individually, not couples anymore. Dr. Chen graduated us about 6 months ago, said we'd done the work and had the tools we needed, but we both continue solo therapy because we've learned that maintaining mental health is like maintaining physical health. You don't stop working out once you get in shape. Emma's relationship with her new friends is healthy and genuine. No more toxic dynamics, no more people who thrive on drama. She's actually become that stable friend to others now, the one who tells them to talk to their partners instead of complaining. To the group chat. We bought a new house last month. Fresh start, new memories. The old house had too many ghosts, both bad and good. We're building something new. Last I heard, Natalie is engaged. For real this time, supposedly. I hope it works out for her. I genuinely do. Everyone deserves a chance at happiness if they're willing to do the work. Jessica sent Emma a Christmas card this year. Just a card, no pressure to reconnect. Inside she'd written, "Thank you for having boundaries. It taught me to develop my own. Wishing you all the best." Emma appreciated it. Here's my answer. If I'd begged and performed and done the dance, we might have stayed together, but we wouldn't have healed. We would have established a pattern where Emma created problems, and I fixed them, where she tested and I proved myself. That's not a marriage. That's a hostage situation with better scenery. By refusing to play the game, I forced us both to grow up, to communicate like adults, to build something real instead of something performative. Was it worth it? Every hard conversation, every therapy session, every moment of uncertainty? Absolutely. Because now I have a partner, a real one. Not someone I'm trying to impress or prove myself to, but someone who chooses me every day because she wants to, not because I performed well enough to earn it. And that, more than any dramatic gesture or passionate fight, is what love actually looks like. To everyone out there going through something similar, your partner's friends aren't the problem. The problem is that your partner is listening to them instead of talking to you. Fix the communication, set the boundaries, and don't be afraid to walk away if those boundaries aren't respected. You're worth more than being tested. Remember that. Emma just read this over my shoulder. She's crying. Happy tears, she says. She wants me to add something. To anyone reading this, especially women, Your friends should support your relationship, not undermine it. If your friends are constantly telling you your partner isn't good enough, question their motives. Healthy people celebrate healthy relationships. Unhealthy people can't stand to see others happy in ways they're not. Choose your influences wisely. I almost didn't. I'm grateful every day that Marcus loved me enough to make me see what I was doing. Don't wait until you almost lose everything to realize what you have. We're going to be okay. Better than okay. We're going to be great. If you enjoy this story, please like, share, and subscribe.